faster. So last time, if you recall, I had derived the relationship between strain and displacement component. See, for normal strain, epsilon x, epsilon y, epsilon z, it is very simple. You know, you take a rectangular element and you apply a tensile stress. So it will go a, let us say, a uniform displacement in x direction. Okay. So that is the displacement, that is it is going. Original length was dx, now it becomes dx plus u, is it not? So u is the displacement of, and then you can find out what is the rate of change of this displacement with respect to x. So that is how we get epsilon x equal to du by dx, epsilon y equal to dv by dy. Let us restrict our discussion to only plane strain case. You know, that means in the plane, all the strain components, the body is deforming in a plane, not out of. Okay. So it is in a plane. Third direction I am neglecting, you know, not the 3 dimension. So, and then we also derived for the shear strain component, gamma xy. That means after deformation, what happens between the two right angles? See, the rectangular element becomes distorted element. The angle 90° gets distorted. So angle that changes. So that is a change in 90° is defined as the 90° of your element is defined as the shear, and a positive shear strain we are defining when the angle between dx and dy reduces. Be clear about it. Positive shear strain is that strain when between the two elemental lengths dx and dy. What is dx and dy? Dx and dy are the two lengths of the element. So that if that reduces, that means 90° reduces, then it is the positive shear strain. So we derived. I'm fully. I think yes, I recall. I drew the entire diagram, and then we derived the relationship between gamma xy. Gamma xy, how do you find out? Is du by dy plus dv by dx. Okay. So that diagram, please practice and try to derive that. You know, have confidence in deriving this relationship, strain displacement relation. Okay. All the, that means normal as well as the shear strain. Okay, so that we have got. So coming to, so today's lecture, what we will do, so strain components. Now let us say we are talking of plane strain. I am not talking of 3-dimensional. So the deformation is such that the strains produced are in a plane. So, and plane means if you, I am now in xy. So my element is here. This is my original element of dx and dy. This undergoes deformation when the loads are applied to it, and we have got that yes, strains are with reference to xy coordinate, with reference to is du by dx. This is dv by dy, and this one is dv by dx plus derivation of this relationship is very important. So please practice, don't forget to neglect this. This one we did it. So this is with reference to, so this is the strains defined with reference to x, y, Now, what about an arbitrary axis? Now, I want to know, I would like to know, yes, if this coordinate system so now if my element is here with reference to x dash y dash axis, then of course with reference to, so u was this displacement, u and v displacements were along x and y. So similarly, let us say the displacements here are u dash and v dash. So a simple relation will tell you, okay, if you want to find out the strain displacement relations with reference to x dash y dash axis, okay, so then it will be simply this. There is no confusion. Okay, do you agree with this? This relation is okay? Yes, everything with reference to, so this is with reference to x dash y dash coordinate. But many times what happens that we would like to know the relationship, the connection between these two sets of axes. That means if you know the strain with reference to one of these two axes, then find out the strains with reference to the other and vice versa. So what is this connection? And connection is this, between these two sets of strains. Is this problem clear? So this is our task today. How to establish, just like we had established a connection between the two sets of stresses. If you know with reference to sigma x, sigma y, tau xy with reference to xy axis, that means plane stress, we have done it. Then how to find out with reference to another set of axes, x dash, y dash and x dash y dash, okay, by transformation of stresses we have done it. So the same transformation we would like to do it for strains, okay. So this transformation, that is, one thing is very clear, that we are talking of a body which is continuous, there are no voids in it, and displacements are continuous functions of both the coordinate system. Is it okay? Continuity. What is the meaning of continuity? It is a continuous function, means we can differentiate. The displacements are differentiable with respect to the coordinate axis. There are no gaps. There are no gaps in between, no voids are created. After the loads are applied, they deform in a continuous manner. Yes or no? you must know little bit of mathematics. It is not only just pure technology that will help, but the basic mathematics behind anything that you do is important. So, why do you differentiate? What is the meaning of differentiability? Y is a function of continuous function of x, then only I can find out dy by dx. Okay. If it is not, then it is difficult. How will you find out when there is a jump? It is not a dy by dx. How will you find out? It must be continuous. So, okay. So, now continuity and compatibility. Compatibility word also I have used in my discussion. What is compatible deformation? That means after a body which is continuous initially deforms after the application of load in a compatible manner. So, compatible means consistent with the boundary conditions, it deforms without creating any voids anywhere. Okay. So, how will you establish this connection? Now, this is the task today, that is establish the connection between the two sets. Okay. Again little bit of your differential calculus. This is okay. Du dash by dx dash, this is correct. Now, since I can write down chain rule of differentiation, chain rule of how to write down du dash by dx dash with reference to, now I want to relate with reference to x and y. So, what I will do, I will use chain rule and I will say this is du dash by dx, dx by dx dash plus what? Du dash by dy, dy by dx dash. If continuity is there, if both the if the particles are all continuously distributed, then we can write down this. This is chain rule of differentiability. So, this is the chain rule Okay. Now, I will not spend time on transformation. See, any particle or any point P in my xy plane can be expressed, the coordinate of that can be expressed both in terms of xy as well as x dash y dash. Can we relate these two coordinate systems? Yes, with the angle theta. So, I will write down those relationship and you please practice again. Do not make the mistake, because if you make the mistake, the whole derivation will be wrong. So, I will just say the x dash will be x cos theta plus y sin theta. Now, how it is, I can explain it, but then it will take time. I do not want to spend time on this transformation. So, this is, that means how to relate x dash to y dash. Yes, you just draw, it is geometrical definition, geometrical relationship between x dash and y dash. Take any point, draw the perpendicular parallel to x dash y dash axis, draw perpendicular parallel to x and y, and then you relate the two coordinates. Okay. Similarly, I can take the inverse relation of this. I can also write x and y in terms of x dash y dash. So, if you write down x dash y dash, so this comes out to be x dash cosine theta plus minus y dash sin theta, and y is x dash sin theta plus y dash cosine theta. So, this is the relationship between the two coordinate system, both direct as well as inverse I have given. You please spend some time, derive this number of times, In the same way, because displacements are vectors, so I can also write down u dash and v dash. How are they related to u and v? So that will be same as, for example, this one. Whatever relationship exists between this, same thing will, so it will be u cosine theta plus v sin theta minus u sin theta plus v cosine theta. So, as a representative I have given you, these relations can be derived. How do you derive? This is the problem with me. So, if you take a point here, please draw. So, this is x dash, this is y dash, and this is draw on x and y also. Now, this distance is x and this distance is y. They can be related in terms of this angle theta. Okay. So, this is pure geometrical, and you please spend some time to derive this. Okay. All right. So, this, having established this relationship, next job becomes step by step. See, you have to, don't jump. So, after you have got, now you have this. Now, I will do it only for one strain component, that is x dash. Remaining one you will have to do it yourself. So, this is, we have already said, this is given by u dash x dx dx dash plus du dash y dy x dash. This is a chain rule I had. Now it is only a question of substitution. Du dash by dx, du dash by dx, from this, from the transformation that I have given, du dash by dx, what do you get? Du dash by dx, here u dash by, first is this part, du dash by dx. So, it will be du by dx into cosine theta plus dv by dx into sin theta. So, du by dx into cos theta plus dv by dx into sin theta. Now, this is only one part, multiplied by dx dash. Dx by dx dash, that is why right in the beginning I wrote both the relationship. X dash is a function of xy as well as x and y is a function of x dash y dash. So, I have to find out the derivative dx by dx dash. So, I will use this. Yes, it will be how much? It will be partial derivative. It is partial. Okay. So, how much it will be? Dx by dx dash cosine theta, cos theta, because this will be 0. Is it okay? So, that multiplied by, now don't make a mistake here. It is simple differentiation. So, this dx by dx dash will be simply cosine theta. So, this multiplied by cosine theta plus, so this part is over now, plus du dash by dy. Du dash by dy, in the same manner it will be and into dy by dx dash. Dy by dx dash here will be sin theta. Okay. And now it will come out to be, so please just take the coefficient du. So, I have expressed in terms, that means x dash quantity now I have expressed in terms of u, which is with the reference to x and y coordinate, and all the derivatives are there with a cosine angle and sine angle. So, it will be du by dx, this multiplied by, so du by dx cos square theta plus dv by dy, this one into sine square theta plus this and this, sine cosine here also. So, here it is dv by plus dv by dx plus du by dy into sine theta cos theta. Is it clear? Any mistake? Okay, very good. So, you are okay. What is du by dx, by the way? So, epsilon x into cos square theta, dv by dy is epsilon y. So, strain in y direction into sine square theta. What is this? Gamma xy, shear strain into sine theta cosine theta. Please derive similar expressions. Now, do you find any relationship between this and what we derived for sigma x dash? Yes, similar. What is the difference? I think here there was a 2 there. There is no 2. So, I can make it 2 by making it gamma xy by 2. So, this is the transformation rule from x dash y dash to x and y for plane strain components. Okay. This transformation rule is not a vector transformation. It is not like a force transformation. Is it not? What is the difference between force transformation and this transformation? There you will get only sine and cosine, not square. Force, component of force in x and y direction, when you take, you will be equating, and then it will come only single sine cosine. Here it is coming cosine square, sine square. So, this quantity is the way it is written now. These are all tensor quantities. So, strain also is a tensor, provided you take gamma xy by 2 here. You do not take full gamma, but here then it follows. Then epsilon x, epsilon y, gamma xy by 2 will be a tensor quantity, tensor which follows the rule of transformation. So, this is a tensor transformation, simple Cartesian tensor transformation. Now, gamma xy by 2 I also sometimes write, because this is epsilon x, epsilon y is tensorial component of engineering shear strain. Gamma xy is called engineering shear strain and tensorial component is called half of that. So, that we represent by E, not epsilon, E xy. Okay. So, please derive for the other two also. I can write down this again the way I did it for stresses. It can be written in angle 2 theta. So, this is plus by 2 plus into what? Cos 2 theta or cos square theta? Cos 2 theta plus E xy sin 2. The same expression is written in terms of 2 theta angle. So, this can be written like this, and similarly, which I am not deriving, I can write this this is okay, to minus so these are your transformation relations which are exactly same as that of stresses. So, there is no difference between the plane stress and here we have got plane strain. So, whatever you did for finding out the principal stresses in the case of plane stress, we can do the same thing for here for finding out principal strains. What is the maximum strain? In which direction is the maximum strain occur? Maximum strain means maximum normal strain. Which direction it will be minimum? So, perpendicular direction it will be minimum. So, if you know one direction is maximum, then the next one will be minimum. So, the principal directions. So, you can do the complete exactly the same analysis. You can find out the angle, the principal, that is 2 theta, tangent 2 theta will be equal to gamma xy by 2 divided by epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2. So, this will give you the principal axis. So, this will give you angle with respect to, and principal strains that is normal 1 and 2. If you call them as 1 and 2, they will be. So, I am taking the results from stresses. Yes, please, if you have any doubt. So, it is the same result. There it was tau xy, if you remember. Here it was sigma x minus sigma y by 2. So, instead of tau xy, you have gamma xy by 2 or exy, which we call tensorial component, half of gamma. By the way, gamma is called engineering shear strain component, engineering shear strain and then half of that, which we are calling now exy, is called tensorial component, tensorial, tensorial component of engineering shear strain. So, it is the tensorial part, half of this is tensorial, all right. So, you can also do Mohr circle for plane strain, construction of geometrical construction for finding out principal directions and the principal strains. You can also use Mohr circle. Exactly similar to principal stresses. Here it was in plane stress, and here it is for plane strain. So, whatever construction has been described for the stresses, the same thing will apply to principal strains as well. Now, next part, you see, after having described plane stress, plane strain, transformation, after all, what for we are doing this? Why should we do transformation? What is the need? Yes, transformation is needed at any point. See, we are finding out strains are defined at any point. It is a point based quantity, not over the entire area or entire volume. At any point, just like displacement of a point, UV component refers to a point P. That is a function of x and y. So, strains also are functions of x and y in the plane. Okay. So, do not say that strain is uniform. Yes, there are situations when they will be uniform, but that is not the case in general. So, why are we doing this transformation? After all, when the body is loaded, any structure is loaded, you are concerned about its safety, that the structure where we are sitting, this should not fail under the load. You design it, there are some design rules, you have to follow certain rules to proportion your members. So, you design it, you describe the, you define the thickness, width, etc., and for that load it is safe. But sometimes doubt come in. Recent one, in Balco, in Jharkhand, where Korba, the chimney, the entire chimney has collapsed. It was under construction, but it had gone to very high. But then it collapsed. Something must be wrong somewhere. Either the design was faulty or the construction was not proper. And there were some Chinese workers and engineers, they fled, the site. Because they were the contractors. They must be. There are number of Chinese contracting firms have come in India now. They are doing contracting jobs. So they are coming all the way from China and building your bridges, roads. Because I was involved in Gujarat one, so there was a Chinese contractor. How do they? And they are bringing their own labor force from there. It's a tough job, to stay here in a land where you don't understand the language. But anyway, so this is, so sometimes doubts do occur in the minds of, after the building is constructed, I think there is some mistake. We must check it. So we say one load test. What is this? Okay, let us load it to the maximum for which it is designed, put the load that, and then what? Then see whether this is withstanding that load. Not only withstanding, we also do some measurements. Then for that load, we would like to find out what is the stress developed in the body. Now, stress is a quantity that develops within the body. You cannot see stress through microscope also. What will you see? Particles are separating, some movement is there, microscopic level. So, what will you see? You will see only dislocation of particles. So, how to measure stress? But stress is a quantity I am interested in, because I have designed my stress level should not increase this much. Maximum stress developed in the body under the load when it is fully loaded must not increase this, because if it increases this, then my structure is in jeopardy or it is in dangerous situation. So, I want to know stress. So, stress cannot be measured in field. We cannot measure stress. There is no method. Then engineers have devised what to do. They say, well, deformation is a quantity which you see. The beam has deflected, the cantilever has deflected under the load. Many times the cantilevers are very, very peculiar. You have to be careful about cantilevers. because there is only one support fixed to the, and if and most of the time what happens when the load comes, it deflects, and then the alignment becomes misaligned. So if the designer wants a horizontal surface there, it will become it will get tilted. So nowadays what we do, right in the beginning we say you provide little camber, extra slope upwards, so that after the loads are applied, let it become horizontal. The first flyover in Bombay that was constructed, which was the first flyover in Bombay? No, history of Bombay, Mumbai. Kemp's Corner. Kemp's Corner, that was the first flyover on Pedder Road that came in 1965. And the designer for this is a very good consultant, Mr. Sirish Patel and Associates, SPA. They are Bombay-based consultants. So they designed that flyover, and they have taken a cantilever of more than 12 meter. One cantilever is there. So what happened? Just after the shuttering was removed, it separate. From the support, the cantilever became like this. It really gave way, and the crack developed at the support. Of course, no failure, nothing, especially reinforcement, etc., everything was proper. But because of the length of the cantilever, it was so much that it could not sustain, and therefore the crack developed. Of course, it was tested to the full, nothing happened. Beyond that crack, nothing, no extra crack developed, and it was sound. So what we suggested, okay, you fill the crack with some bituminous material, it is a permanent crack that has developed. So you have to be careful about cantilevers. Okay, so coming to that, we would like to know the state of stress inside the body, but stresses cannot be measured. So can we measure strains? Yes, displacements can be measured. Displacement between 2 points, relative displacement, movement of point, that can be measured. But can you go inside the body? You are interested in the maximum, principal, and so on and so forth. So again, measurement of stresses. So measurement. So stresses cannot measured. Yes, displacements can be. So based upon the changes in displacement of the 2 points, certain measuring instruments have been developed, and that is it's called measurement of strain. So electrical strain gauges. So you have what? Electrical strain gauges. Something like this. There will be 2 leads. This will be connected to some instrument, and this one will be stuck on the body. But again, we can stick this only on the surface of the body. We cannot go inside. So again, strains can be measured only on the surface of the body. Okay. Luckily, it so happens that most of the stresses, under maximum values occur at the surface. Okay, maximum. And since as a designer we are interested in maximum, so it is all right. So surface is not bad. We cannot go inside. So we will find out on the surface strains. So what we do, we have these strain gauges, electrical, these are called electrical strain gauges. So these are resistance type. So once it is bonded and once the displacement takes place, the length increases. So the current is changed, and that measures the change in current, and that is calibrated to the strain. Okay. So strain and electrical current, they are related, and that instrument. So it is based upon resistance change in resistance of this due to displacement, and they are bonded type. They have to be bonded to the surface, bonded to the surface. And again there are 2 points, we always take 2 points on the surface, and we find out change in length of this between this and this. So we find out rate of change of between these 2 points. So strain gauges will be aligned in this direction, and then we will try to find out what is this. So this can measure only longitudinal or normal strain. So can measure, again there is a problem, that means stress cannot be measured. Strains, yes, somehow we have devised a method, devised an instrument which can measure the surface strains, but it can measure only normal strains, not shear strains, because they are only linear type. So only normal strains can be measured. You have an experiment in the lab which uses strain gauges. You find out. So kindly see that carefully, and how to find out how it is. So based upon this strain gauges, we try to find out strains. Now we have got this formula. Now I can measure only normal strain, and this is our formula. Let us say x dash. X dash is given by epsilon x plus epsilon y by 2 plus epsilon x minus epsilon y by 2 into cosine 2 theta plus exy or gamma xy by 2 into sine. So only this I can measure in, because x dash means there is an angle theta which is attached to this. So this is x direction, and this angle is, this is x dash. So this angle theta is attached to this. So I can place this in any direction on the surface and measure x dash. But I am interested in, at this point, what is my this set. So how to, I can measure this, yes. So right hand side you have got how many quantities? Angle is there and 3 quantities are there, epsilon x, epsilon y and gamma xy. Okay. So best thing is to do 3 measurements. You have 3 equations, left hand side of the 3 equations will be known, any angle, you fix any angle, and then you give the value of theta. Is it okay? Theta 1, theta 2. So normally what is done is you have 3 directions, A, B and C, in which strain measurements are done at the same point. You put these strain gauges at the same point, and then I have got, I get 3 equations here. Left hand side will be known, and then from that you can find out epsilon x, epsilon y and gamma xy, because theta will be known. We will be fixing the strain gauges, so theta has to be known. Now this combination 3 direction, that means minimum you need 3 linear strain gauges in order to measure strain at any point, not less than 3. Okay. So minimum you need 3. So this combination, this is called Rosette. RO strain, ROSE double TE, I think, yes, SE double TE, Rosette, strain Rosette. Combination of the 3 together is called strain rosette. And you can fix any angle, you are free to have. So, you have a delta type which is called 60, this angle is A direction B and third direction is 120. You have another rosette which is most common is 45, 45, 45. Why it is most common? It is simpler. So, one strain gauge in this direction, another strain gauge in this direction and third strain gauge in. So, put theta equal to 0, first one, theta equal to 0, you know, it becomes very simple. Cosine 0 equal to 1, sine 0 equal to 0. So, this becomes very simple equation. Put theta equal to 90 for the vertical one, then cosine 180. So, you have to find that will be, this will become 0, minus 1, okay, and this one sine that, okay. So, this will be simpler, and then cosine 45, this will be 90, cosine 90 equal to 0 and sine 90 equal to 1. So, what I am saying, this one is the simplest, 0, 45, 45. So, a rosette which is of this type. So, we make use of these three directions in order to measure strains at any point, but then you have got only three arbitrary directions. You have fixed x, y, z, x, y, nobody else. How do you know these are the maximum? You do not know. You do not know that these are the maximum. So, from this you have to find out principal strains. Epsilon x, epsilon y, gamma x, y, please go and find out principal . So, find out principal strains. Here also, having got principal strains, what should you do? I am not interested in strain. Strain is a, how to check. My limit quantities are prescribed only on stresses. So, use Hooke's law, and find out principal stresses. When I say principal means this is maximum. This is the maximum tau 12, maximum shear, maximum normal, minimum normal, that you please find out. Is it okay? And then this can be, yes, within this can be less or equal to the maximum allowable. So, this is how we find out or check our designs. So, this is the use of learning this state of stress and strain in theory of mechanics of solids. Okay.